Hey, listeners, are you ready to take control of your car buying experience and make smart financial decisions? Introducing the Ultimate Auto Finance Guide, your go-to resource for navigating the complex world of auto finance. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking to refinance, this guide has all the tips, tricks, and insider knowledge you need to secure the best deal. Don't miss out on this opportunity to empower yourself and drive away with confidence. Head over to www.ultimateautofinanceguide.com now and grab your digital copy. Trust me, it's the smartest investment you'll make before buying your next car. Welcome back to Drive to Success Mastering Auto Finance. I'm your host, John Lewis, and today we're starting a two-part deep dive into one of the auto industry's most talked about developments. Amazon partnering with Hertz, Hyundai, and Ford to sell cars online. Now, I've seen the headlines. Amazon is killing dealerships. The end of traditional auto retail. Dealers are finished. But here's the thing. I've been in this industry long enough to remember when CarMax was going to put everyone out of business, when TrueCar was the dealership killer, and when Carvana was supposed to replace the showroom floor entirely. So today we're taking a different approach. Over these next two episodes, we're examining the entire automotive ecosystem because Amazon's entry does not just affect dealerships. It affects third-party platforms like AutoTrader and Cars.com. It affects lenders, both captive and indirect. It affects franchise laws, and it affects the dealer associations that represent your interests. In part one today, we're going to cover what's actually going on the ground, the three different partnerships, what Amazon really gets from these deals, what consumers actually want, and the collateral damage to platforms and lenders. Then in part two, we'll tackle the bigger questions: franchise law, vulnerabilities, whether NADA is fighting hard enough, future scenarios, and exactly what you should do to protect and grow your business. This isn't hype. This isn't panic. This is a reality check you can actually use. Let's dive in. First, let's get our facts straight, because there are actually three different Amazon partnerships happening right now, and they're not all the same. Understanding these differences matter. Partnership number one, Hertz plus Amazon. Hertz has partnered with Amazon to list used vehicles on Amazon Autos. This is currently a pilot program in 4 cities: Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, and Seattle. If you live within 75 miles of a participating Hertz location, you can browse their inventory online, see no-haggle pricing, arrange financing through the platform, and then drive to a Hertz lot to pick up your car. Hertz says they're doing a 115-point inspection and offering limited warranties. These are ex-rental fleet vehicles. We're talking about cars that have been driven by dozens of different people, often aggressively, with inconsistent maintenance. And despite all the digital convenience, you still have to drive to a Hertz lot to pick up the car. Now, here's what makes the Hertz partnership strategically important, even though it's the smallest of the three. Amazon is testing infrastructure. They're learning how to handle titling, registration, financing integration, and customer pickup logistics. Hertz provides volume. They cycle about 500,000 cars out of their fleet every year, and that volume gives Amazon data. But there's also risk here. This is the same Hertz that filed for bankruptcy in 2020. They're under pressure to turn their fleet inventory quickly, and retail sales are actually slower than auction sales. If they commit too heavily to retail through Amazon and it doesn't scale, they could be sitting on aging inventory that's depreciating fast. Hertz needs this to work. That doesn't mean it will. This is essentially fleet liquidation with an Amazon wrapper. Amazon gives them reach, 200 million Prime members, but it doesn't fundamentally change what they're selling. Used rental cars with all the concerns that come with it. Partnership number two, Hyundai plus Amazon, the full stack deal. Now, this one is different and it's much bigger than just selling cars online. Hyundai and Amazon announced a broad strategic technology partnership that includes three components. First, retail. You can now shop for new Hyundai vehicles on Amazon in the US. You configure the vehicle, structure your payment or lease terms, apply for financing, and then complete delivery at a participating Hyundai dealer. The dealer still sets the price, holds the inventory, handles F&I at delivery, and manages your long-term relationship. Second is cloud infrastructure. Hyundai named AWS as its preferred cloud provider. That means Amazon's technology is being woven into Hyundai's manufacturing systems, data analytics, and customer experience platforms. This isn't just a sales channel, it's a technology alliance. And third, in-vehicle integration. Next generation Hyundai models will have Alexa built in. Amazon isn't just selling you the car, it's becoming a part of the car itself. So Hyundai isn't just using Amazon as a digital storefront. They're making Amazon a strategic partner across retail, technology, and the in-car experience. That's a fundamentally different level of commitment than what Hertz is doing. This is a Trojan horse. Amazon will have access to data on how Hyundai vehicles are used, how customers interact with in-car systems, and potentially how service and maintenance are performed. As of December 2024, Hyundai's program is available in 48 U.S. cities. Dealers still set the price as it appears on Amazon, and transactions happen at that list price with no haggling. The model respects franchise laws. Dealers get credit for the vehicles sold through Amazon. But Amazon vets dealers based on criteria including clear list prices, willingness to use Amazon's workflow system, and customer service standards. Not every dealer is automatically in. In August 2024, Hyundai expanded the program to include used and certified pre-owned vehicles, not just used cars. Partnership number three, Ford plus Amazon, the cautious approach. Ford's partnership is much narrower, and this tells us something. Ford is listing certified pre-owned vehicles from its Blue Advantage program on Amazon Autos through participating dealers. Customers can browse, compare, structure financing through multiple lenders, and complete most of the transaction online. Then they pick up from the selling dealer who retains control over pricing and handles all subsequent service. The program includes a 14-day or 1,000-mile money-back guarantee, which is a nice consumer protection. Right now, this is limited to Los Angeles, Seattle, and Dallas. And here's what Ford isn't doing. They're not committing to AWS as their cloud provider. They're not putting Alexa in their vehicles. They're not even selling new cars through Amazon yet, just CPO inventory. Out of Ford's roughly 2,900 U.S. dealers, over 160 have expressed interest, but only 20 are fully onboarded. That's 0.7% of the dealer network. For context, when Tesla launched their supercharger network, they had 5% of gas stations coverage within 2 years. Ford's Amazon adoption is actually slower than the charging network rollout. Ford is essentially saying, let's see if this works before we go all in. They're testing the channel. Hyundai made a bet. Ford is running an experiment. And Ford has already indicated that they'll evaluate whether to add new vehicles to Amazon based on how CPO sales perform. If the data looks good, expect this to expand quickly. But Ford has been burned before by overcommitting to unproven digital strategies, so they're being smart and cautious. Why this matters? Amazon isn't just creating the marketplace, they're positioning themselves as the consumer interface where new cars, CPO units, and used cars from multiple brands coexist. The dealer is still involved, But Amazon controls what the customer sees first, how inventory is presented, and how financing is structured. For dealers, the question isn't just, will this take my sales? The question is, if Amazon becomes the front door to my customers, how much control do I really have left? For third-party platforms like AutoTrader and Cars.com, the question is, if customers go directly to Amazon to shop for cars, why would they visit our sites? For lenders, the question is, if manufacturers control the financing flow through Amazon, where does that leave us? That's what we're unpacking in these two episodes. Let's talk about what Amazon is really building here, because it's not just about car sales. For Hertz, Amazon gets inventory and proof of concept. Rental fleets cycle hundreds of thousands of vehicles per year. That's volume and data. Amazon is learning how the automotive transaction process works, from titling to registration, financing, inspection standards, and pickup logistics. Hertz is Amazon's training ground. For Hyundai, Amazon gets something much bigger: validation. When a major OEM not only sells cars through your platform but also commits to your cloud infrastructure and embeds your voice assistant in their vehicles, they're not just a marketplace, they're a strategic technology partner. Hyundai legitimized Amazon Autos as a place where consumers can buy new cars from real manufacturers, not just used cars from rental companies. For Ford, Amazon gets scale and credibility. Ford is one of America's most recognized brands. Even though Ford is only offering CPO inventory right now, their presence signals to other manufacturers, if Ford is willing to do this, maybe we should be too. What Amazon is building is a multi-brand national marketplace where new, CPO, and used vehicles coexist, all flowing through dealers, but all controlled by Amazon at the consumer interface layer. Think about what that means. Amazon gets the customer relationship. Amazon gets the data on what people shop for, how they configure deals, what financing they choose. Amazon gets to shape the customer experience from research through checkout. The dealer still delivers the car, the dealer still services the car, but Amazon owns the digital journey. And in the world where most shopping starts online, that's a powerful position. So when we ask, is this a threat to dealers? The answer depends on what you value. If you see yourself as a fulfillment center, you're probably fine. If you see yourself as a customer relationship business, this should make you very strategic about how you respond. Now, let's talk about what's actually happening on the ground in these markets, because the reality is more nuanced than the headlines. I'm going to break down 5 things. First, dealer participation is mixed. Not every Hyundai or Ford dealer is participating. Amazon vets dealers based on criteria like transparent pricing, digital readiness, and customer service standards. Some dealers see this as an opportunity, a high traffic storefront that brings in qualified leads. Others see it as giving up control and are staying on the sidelines. For Ford, out of roughly 2,900 U.S. dealers, about 160 expressed interest and only about 20 are fully onboarded. That's 0.7%, so this isn't a tidal wave. It's early adopters testing the water. Second, traffic and conversion patterns are still unclear. Amazon hasn't released data on how many people are actually completing purchases through the platform versus just browsing. What we do know is that most serious car buyers still want to sit in the vehicle, test drive it, and handle their trade-in person. And here's the critical factor that Amazon can't solve: trade-ins. Somewhere between 60 and 70% of car buyers have a trade-in. They need that equity to make the numbers work. Amazon does not trade trade-ins. So right there, you've eliminated the majority of the market. Third, dealers in these markets aren't panicking. From what I'm hearing, dealerships in pilot cities haven't seen dramatic drops in traffic or volume. Customers are using Amazon to research, configure, and get pre-approved for financing. But then they're still coming to the dealership to finalize the deal, test drive, and pick up the vehicle. In other words, Amazon is functioning as a lead generation and transaction facilitation tool, not a dealership replacement, at least not yet. Fourth, pricing remains dealer controlled. With both Hyundai and Ford, the participating dealer sets the price that appears on Amazon. There's no negotiation on the platform. What you see is what you pay. But dealers still have flexibility to price competitively or premium depending on their market and strategy. The question is, how long will this last? If Amazon sees that certain dealers consistently price higher or convert poorly, will Amazon pressure them to lower prices or remove them from the platform? We do not know yet, but it's a risk. Finally, fifth, the dealer still owns service and F&I. Even if the sale starts on Amazon, the customer picks up the vehicle at the dealership, and that's where F&I products like extended warranties, gap insurance, maintenance plans are presented and sold. The dealer still handles all service and warranty work. So the long-term profit center service and parts remains firmly in the dealer's hands. But here's the strategic concern. If Amazon eventually integrates F&I product sales directly onto the checkout flow, that margin could shift too. It hasn't happened yet, but the infrastructure is being built. Now, before we talk about who else is being threatened by Amazon's entry, we need to address the elephant in the room. What do consumers actually want? Because if we don't understand consumer behavior, we're just guessing about whether Amazon will succeed. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Consumers are frustrated with the traditional car buying process, but that doesn't mean that they want to buy cars like they buy shoes on Amazon. According to a 2024 Cox Automotive study, 80% of car buyers still want to visit a dealership at some point in the process. Even among millennials and Gen Z, the group supposedly most comfortable with buying everything online, 68% say that they want to test drive before making a purchase. So the narrative that everyone wants to buy cars online is simply wrong. What consumers want is control, transparency, and convenience, but not at the expense of the physical experience. So here's what consumers consistently say frustrate them. First, a lack of transparency. Consumers hate not knowing what they're actually going to pay. They start researching online, they see one price, they come to the dealership, and suddenly there are fees, markups, and negotiations that feel like they're being played. Second is time. The average dealership visit takes 3 to 4 hours. Consumers understand that buying a car is complex, but they don't understand why paperwork takes 2 hours when they can buy a house and close in 30 minutes electronically. Third, pressure. Consumers feel pressured by sales tactics. They don't like being asked, what payment can you afford? And when they want to talk about the actual price of the car, they don't like being told, I have to talk to my manager 5 times. Fourth, trade-in games. Consumers know dealers lowball trade-ins and then mark up the new car to compensate. They feel like they're being nickeled and dimed. But here's what consumers do value about dealerships, and this is critical. Test drives. Consumers value test drives 3 times more than dealers think they do. This isn't just about seeing if the car runs, it's about how the seats feel, how the visibility is, whether their spouse likes it, whether their kids can reach the screen. Cars are intimate, personal spaces. You can't replicate that online. Next is trade-in convenience. Even though consumers don't trust dealer trade-in valuations, they appreciate the convenience of one-stop shopping. Selling a car privately is a hassle, posting ads, dealing with tire kickers, handling title transfers. Dealers solve that problem. Next is local accountability. When something goes wrong, and things do go wrong with cars, consumers want a local business that they can visit, a service department that they can yell at, and a sales manager who will advocate for them with the manufacturer. Amazon does not have that. Next is expertise. Consumers don't know the difference between trim levels, financing options, or warranty package. They need someone to walk them through it, not pressure them, educate them. When dealers do this well, consumers value it enormously. And lastly is human connection. This sounds soft, but it matters. Buying a car is emotional. It's a family decision. Some consumers want to bring their spouse, their parents, or their adult children into the process. They want to talk through options, ask questions, and feel confident. That's hard to do on Amazon. So if consumers value dealers for these reasons, why are they interested in Amazon? First, there's trust. Amazon is one of the most trusted brands in America. Consumers know Amazon will deliver what they ordered. They know returns are easy. They know customer service will respond. Dealers as a category don't have that trust, even if your dealership does. Next is convenience. Amazon is where consumers already shop. Their payment info is saved, their address is saved, they're comfortable with the interface. Starting the car buying process on Amazon feels less intimidating than walking into a dealership cold. Next is no haggle clarity. Consumers like knowing the price upfront with no negotiation. They don't have to wonder if they got a good deal or if the person before them paid $2,000 less. Next is comparison shopping. Amazon makes it easy to compare vehicles, features, and prices across multiple dealers without driving around town. That's valuable. But here's the catch. Amazon appeals to consumers for the research and shopping phase, but consumers still need dealers for the transaction and relationship phase. Amazon can show you inventory, dealers let you test drive it. Amazon can pre-approve financing, dealers take your trade in. Amazon can facilitate the purchase, dealers service your vehicle for the next 10 years. Amazon can provide convenience, dealers provide accountability. If you're a dealer, your job is not to compete with Amazon on convenience. You'll lose. Your job is to excel at what Amazon can't do: human expertise, physical experience, local service, and long term relationships. The dealers who are thriving right now are the ones who say, "We're not afraid of Amazon. We embrace digital tools, but we know that cars are different from shoes, and we're betting consumers will choose a dealer who makes them feel confident, not just the platform that makes them feel efficient." And the data backs this up. According to the same Cox Automotive study, 92% of consumers who bought a car in 2024 said that the dealership experience, not the digital tools, determined whether they would return for their next purchase. So here's the bottom line on consumer behavior. Consumers want transparency and convenience, but they still need trust, expertise, and service. Amazon can provide the first two. You need to own the second three. If you do that, Amazon becomes a lead source and not a competitor. Now, here's something nobody's talking about enough. Dealers aren't the only ones who should be paying attention to Amazon's move into auto retail. There are entire companies built on connecting buyers to dealers, and they're all watching this very carefully. Think about AutoTrader, Cars.com, Car Gurus. These companies have built billion-dollar businesses by serving as the digital front door between consumers and dealers. You pay them advertising fees, listing fees, or per lead costs to get traffic to your inventory. But here's the problem. Amazon has 200 million Prime members and is one of the most trusted brands in e-commerce. AutoTrader gets about 20 million unique visitors per month. Cars.com about 15 million. Amazon's auto section alone could drive more traffic than both platforms combined within a year. When consumers go directly to Amazon to shop for cars, where they already have accounts, saved payments, and a trusted checkout experience, why would they start their search on AutoTrader? Amazon isn't just competing with dealers, they're competing with every third-party platform that currently sits between the customer and the dealership. And Amazon has scale, trust, and infrastructure that those platforms can't match. Now, to be fair, these platforms aren't going away overnight. AutoTrader and Cars.com still drive massive traffic. They have deep relationships with dealers, sophisticated search and comparison tools, and years of SEO investment. But their long-term value proposition is being questioned. If manufacturers start funneling customers to Amazon instead of encouraging them to search third-party sites, where does that leave the referral model? AutoTrader has already started to adapt. They're not just a listing site anymore. They're offering digital retailing tools, trade-in valuation, financing pre-qualification, and even home delivery logistics. They're trying to become a full transaction platform and not just a lead generation service. But here's the challenge. They're still dependent on dealer participation and dealer data. Amazon, on the other hand, is partnering directly with manufacturers. That's a fundamentally different model, one that could bypass third-party platforms entirely. Cars.com and Car Gurus are in a similar position. They're investing heavily in digital retailing tools, instant cash offers for trade-ins, and financing integrations. They're trying to offer dealers a complete digital solution that goes beyond just leads. But if a consumer can complete the entire transaction on Amazon, browse inventory, structure financing, value their trade, which Amazon will eventually figure out, and arrange delivery, why would they ever leave Amazon's ecosystem to visit cars.com? The answer is they won't unless these platforms offer something Amazon doesn't. And right now, it's not clear what that is for the average consumer. So what does this mean for dealers? You need to think about where you're spending your advertising dollars. If you're paying between $800 to $1,500 per month to AutoTrader and getting 50 leads, but Amazon can deliver 50 leads at a lower cost per acquisition with higher intent, where should your budget go? I'm not saying you should cancel your AutoTrader contract tomorrow, but you should be tracking your cost per lead and conversion rates across all channels, including Amazon if you participate, and making data-driven decisions about where to allocate your advertising budget. The reality is Amazon's entry into auto retail isn't just a threat to dealers, it's a threat to the entire ecosystem of companies that have monetized the gap between consumers and dealers. And as that gap closes, someone's revenue is going to evaporate. Make sure it's not yours. Now, let's talk about the other major impact that nobody's discussing. What Amazon's partnerships mean for auto financing, both captive lenders and the banks and the credit unions that provide indirect lending. Right now, when a customer walks into your dealership, you typically work with multiple lenders, the manufacturer's captive financing arm, like Ford Credit, Hyundai Motor Finance, or GM Financial, plus a network of banks and credit unions that you built relationships with over the years. You submit the customer's application to multiple lenders. You get offers back, and you present the options to the customer. You mark up the interest rate within allowed limits. You earn reserve income from the lender, and you sell F&I products on top of the loan. This is a significant profit center, often more profitable than the vehicle itself. But here's what's changing. When financing moves to a digital platform like Amazon, that entire model gets disrupted. Right now, both Hyundai and Ford are offering financing through Amazon's checkout flow, but they're using multiple lenders, not just their captive finance companies. That sounds good for consumer choice, but here's what you need to understand. Amazon controls which lenders appear in that flow, in what order, and with what messaging. The dealer still handles F&I delivery for now, but the customer already has been pre-approved and has already seen great offers before they ever set foot in your dealership. That limits your ability to shop the loan, present alternatives, or structure the deal in a way that maximizes your F&I income. Let me give you a specific example. You're a Hyundai dealer. A customer comes in who started their purchase on Amazon. They're pre-approved through Hyundai Motor Finance at 5.9% APR. You have a relationship with a local credit union that could offer you 5.5% and pay you $800 in reserve income. But the customer is already mentally committed to 5.9% interest rate because Amazon presented it as preferred financing. Your ability to shop that deal just evaporated. If you usually earn $800 per finance unit in reserve income, and Amazon pre-approvals drop that to $300 or zero if the customer is locked into captive financing, that's a $500 loss per transaction. On 20 deals a month, that's $10,000 in monthly F&I income gone. That's $120,000 annually for a small dealer, which could be the difference between profit and loss. Here's where it gets interesting. Manufacturers like Hyundai and Ford have their own captive finance companies, Hyundai Motor Finance and Ford Credit. These captive lenders have a natural advantage when transactions move from manufacturer-controlled platforms like Amazon. Think about it. If Hyundai controls the customer experience on Amazon, who do you think gets featured as the preferred financing option? Their own captive lender. They can offer promotional rates, streamlined approvals, and seamless integration, and they keep all financing profits in-house rather than sharing them with dealers or third-party lenders. For captive lenders, Amazon partnerships are an opportunity. They get direct access to consumers early in the journey. They can pre-approve buyers before they reach the dealership. They can reduce their reliance on dealer-submitted applications. For dealers, this is a problem. If the customer arrives at your dealership already financed through Hyundai Motor Finance at a pre-approved rate, your ability to earn reserve income by placing them with a different lender is gone. You're reduced to processing paperwork. Now, if you're a regional bank or credit union that has built an indirect lending business by partnering with dealerships, you should be highly concerned. Indirect auto lending is a huge business. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars in loan originations every year. Banks and credit unions rely on dealer relationships to source customers, and they pay dealers reserve income to incentivize those referrals. But if transactions increasingly happen on digital platforms where consumers are pre-approved through a curated list of lenders that Amazon or the manufacturer controls, where does that leave your community bank? Unless you have a direct relationship with Amazon or the manufacturer, you're getting cut out. Your dealer partners can't submit applications on your behalf if the customer is already pre-approved. You lose volume, you lose market share, and you lose the dealer relationships that you spent years building. Credit unions have 120 million members in the U.S. That's significant scale. But their competitive edge has always been relationship depth and member service. If the transaction moves upstream to Amazon before the member even talks to their credit union, that advantage disappears. Here's the bigger question. What if Amazon decides to become a lender itself? Amazon already offers credit cards, payment plans, and buy now, pay later options through partnerships with Affirm and others. They have the technology infrastructure, they have customer data on millions of Prime members such as income proxies, purchase history, and payment behavior. What's stopping them from launching Amazon Auto Finance or partnering with a major bank to white label auto loans under the Amazon brand? Think about the competitive advantages. Instant approvals using Amazon's data and AI underwriting, seamless integration into the checkout flow with one-click financing, competitive rates funded by Amazon's low cost of capital, Prime member benefits like 0.25% rate discounts or cash back, cross-sell opportunities offering gap insurance and extended warranties at checkout. If Amazon can offer instant approvals, competitive rates, and seamless integration into the checkout flow while leveraging their massive customer data to underwrite loans more accurately than traditional lenders, they could capture a significant share of the auto finance market within 3 to 5 years. And if that happens, both captive lenders and indirect lenders are in trouble because Amazon won't just be competing on rates, they'll be competing on convenience, speed, and trust. And Amazon has built more consumer trust than any bank or credit union in America. So, what does this mean for dealers? First, understand that your F&I profit center is at risk if financing moves upstream to digital platforms. Model this out. If 30% of your deals come in pre-approved with limited flexibility to restructure and you lose $500 per deal in reserve income, what does that do to your bottom line? Second, diversify your lender relationships and maintain strong connections with both captive and indirect lenders. If Amazon or manufacturers start limiting lender options, you want to have backup relationships that can still deliver competitive offers. Third, focus on selling F&I products, extended warranties, gap insurance, time wheel protection, because even if you lose control over the loan, you can still earn margin on these products. Make sure your F&I process is consultative, transparent, and customer focused. Consumers who trust you will buy protection products even if they're pre-approved for financing. And fourth, watch for signs that manufacturers are pushing customers towards captive financing through Amazon. If Hyundai and Ford start offering exclusive incentives like lower rates, cash rebates, deferred payments only through their captive lenders on Amazon, that's a signal that they're trying to recapture financing profit that currently flows to dealers and third-party lenders. So what does this mean for lenders? If you're a captive lender, lean into this. Partner with your manufacturer to ensure you're the featured financing option on digital platforms. Offer competitive rates, instant approvals, and seamless integration. This is your chance to recapture market share. If you're an indirect lender, a bank, or credit union, you need to fight for access. Build direct relationships with Amazon if possible. Offer dealers tools that make it easier to submit applications even when customers are shopping online. Consider white labeling your financing options so they appear as manufactured affiliate even if they're not. And critically, differentiate on service. If you can offer faster approvals, more flexible terms, or better customer support than captive lenders, that's your value proposition. Credit unions especially, your members trust you. Start the conversation with them before they shop on Amazon. Send targeted offers, pre-approved auto loan rates for members. Shop with confidence. Get ahead of the transaction, but you need to communicate that value to both dealers and consumers or you'll get bypassed entirely. The bottom line, Amazon's entry into auto retail isn't just about who sells the car. It's about who finances the car, who controls the customer data, and who earns the profit on what is often the most lucrative part of the transaction. And right now, that control is shifting away from dealers and independent lenders toward manufacturers, platforms, and captive finance companies. If you're not paying attention to this, you're going to wake up one day and realize you've lost a critical profit center and you never saw it coming. All right, let's bring part one home. We've covered what's actually happening. 3 different Amazon partnerships. Hertz testing infrastructure with used rentals, Hyundai making a full strategic bet, and Ford cautiously experimenting with CPO inventory. We've talked about what Amazon really gets: customer relationships, data, validation, and positioning as a consumer interface layer for automotive retail. We've examined ground reality. Dealer participation is limited, conversion data isn't public, trade-ins remain a barrier, and consumers still want physical experiences. We've discussed what consumers actually want: transparency and convenience, yes, but also test drives, trade-in solutions, local service, and human expertise. Amazon can provide some of that. You need to own the rest. We've identified collateral damage. Third-party platforms like AutoTrader face existential threats as Amazon becomes the front door. Indirect lenders are being squeezed as captive finance companies dominate manufacturer-controlled platforms. So where does this leave you? If you're a dealer, you should be strategic, not panic, but not complacent either. Understand what's happening. Track your metrics. Invest in what Amazon can't replicate. If you're a platform like AutoTrader, you need to add value fast: tools, services, and data that Amazon doesn't offer. If you're an indirect lender, you need to fight for access and differentiate on service before you lose volume to captive lenders and Amazon. In part two, coming next, we're going to tackle the bigger, harder questions: how franchise laws are being tested and what scenarios could play out over the next 5 to 10 years, whether the NADA and state dealer associations are fighting hard enough, and what you should demand from them. The three future scenarios: best case, most likely, and worst case. Exactly what you should do in the short term, midterm, and long term to protect and grow your business. How the entire automotive ecosystem is realigning, and who wins and who loses. Your political engagement responsibilities. This is where it gets real. Part two is about strategy, action, and making sure you're positioned to thrive regardless of which direction this goes. Thanks for listening to part one of Drive to Success Mastering Auto Finance. Until part two, keep your eyes open and stay strategic and keep driving towards success.
Rolling down the avenue to a jazzy beat, following that rhythm, life's a one-way street. Chasing dreams with passion, every mile's a goal. In the world of finance, stories to be told. Catching the horizon with a soulful groove. Navigating numbers, got nothing to lose. Every calculation, every deal we sway. In the realm of autos, we find our way. Drive to success, we're mastering the art. Through the lanes of finance, we set apart. Jazz and soul, where the numbers align. Make your journey smooth with wisdom divine. Hit the keys of knowledge, let the insight play. From leases to purchases, every savvy way. Revving up those engines, zeros turn to ones. In the studio of life like morning sun. Feel the soul, embrace the jazz. In the auto world, let's razzmatazz. Financial gears shifting smooth and slick. In the podcast lane, we find the tricks. Cruising through the jargon, ain't no mystery. Unlocking all the secrets in auto history. Low ones and rates, they glisten like the stars. Drive the distance, no matter how far.
Thanks for sticking around until the end. Before we go, if you're in the market for a new or used car or even thinking about it, you must check out Drive to Success, the ultimate auto finance guide. It's packed with strategies to help you navigate the tricky world of auto financing, avoid costly mistakes, and get the best deal possible. Head over to Amazon and grab your copy today. Just search for Drive to Success, the ultimate auto finance guide, or use the link in our show notes. Take control of your car buying experience and drive away with confidence.